We're good? All right. Well, welcome back, those of you who come back, and welcome here, those of you who are first joining us, to Drawing Blood, or The Making of Blood, depending on what we name the YouTube channel. It's an inside look at the way we traditionally animate our video game #Blood, which is a top-down adventure, vampire, hunting, Cartoon Network, early 90s or late 90s Cartoon Network kind of spin-off we're doing here. We got a special treat for you today. Once Cody gets here, he's gonna be, you'll hear him. He won't be on the camera with me, but he's joining in. So let us know how that audio works once he gets finished watching his twins. He'll be here, and with me as always, to my right is Bob, who's working on some paid work. So let's see. I'm just finishing up a drawing real quick, and then I'll get to it. Well, it's work. It's hard. I'll give it that. So I'm just finishing a drawing here, and then I'll kind of recap what we were starting with last week. We do this a little smash mouth, so I'm gonna show you what we're gonna be working on today. More Cory stuff, as last week. Show you what I did to make a little Twitch video. That pan pizza was very kind of him to repost and reshare on Twitter, which always gets us a lot of attention. And then we'll circle back and start animating. Just get this tongue colored here. Oops. Alright, no, still the wrong color. And let me get this one colored here. So I'm going to group that. Now I'm going to go back and show you what we're kind of working on. Hey! I always get this guy's name wrong, or girl, I'm not sure. Paul I call him Polcano, but I know that's wrong. But welcome back. Thanks for joining us again. Oh, and Daniel. Oh, good. I'm glad to see Friday people showing up. And those of you who joined us yesterday to see Bob work his magic, thanks for doing that too. We appreciate it. And Lauren, all right. No, we appreciate you guys showing up week in and week out to kind of watch this slow, painstaking journey we're on. So we're working on more Cory sprites, and if you remember last week, we kind of did one idle and a few run cycles that I botched up. Ended up fixing those, so I'll show you all the stuff that we're kind of working on now. So I added a little fly character for the little Twitch video we made, or to promote Twitch. We did the talk, him kind of nervously talking, did that last week. We did the run, which I fixed. If I go into this symbol, I could show you a little bit more. So this is what before he pans up and down. And, you know, I ended up doing some more stuff with the head, kind of giving a little more bounce. I was having problems with the arms, which I think I fixed. And, of course, the body, which was never that in terrible shape, but it wasn't jiving last week. And this morning I did kind of a stop, like if he stops abruptly like that, and then does kind of a 180 turn to get into the run cycle, so we can have something like this going on, you know, in gameplay. So we can have him kind of, since he's an NPC, he's going to be, and he's kind of a nervous character to begin with. He could be running around kind of scared a lot while Becky does all the hard work. Now I did a few more idols this morning. I did kind of a neutral, you know, not smiling, not sad, just kind of a neutral face. I did a happy one if he's in a good mood. Did a sad one, a little upset there. Ronan Man 14. Hey, how you doing? I don't believe I've seen that name before, so thanks for joining us if you're new, or thanks for coming back if you're old. So we got those three done, and since he's sort of this character is an NPC, but he's a very big part of the story. He's Becky's best friend in the game. There might even be sections where we we haven't, we're still talking about it and stuff, where you might be able to control him on a little bit of a stealthy mission. So we have a lot of animation that's going to be required of him. So this eventual sprite sheet that we're working on is going to be filled just as much as the Becky one, if not more. He's going to have a lot of emotions, like all these things here. We had to change a lot of angles. We had to do walk cycles, run cycles, crawls, sneak cycles, and who knows, maybe even an attack if we decide to get him into some of the action. So right now we're going to start with what I dubbed the scared idol. I always kind of try to keep everything on the same chart, and the chart is on layer 1 right here. It's a big ease in, ease out, and it's, if you guys are kind of familiar with rubber hose animation like the Fleischer's kind of perfected, it's that ease in, ease out is like you start slow, you're fastest in the middle, then end slow. So it's a lot of kind of like rhythmic kind of stuff like that. So we're kind of keeping that chart. Now when he's scared, we can go a little more sporadic because he's going to be shivering and stuff. So what I did is I kept the chart up here as layer 1 just to kind of have a gauge on what we needed to do to keep everything on the same chart. And then we're going to play with it a little and tweak it. So just like every one of these other cycles, it's going to be 2 seconds. Gets scared, then kind of goes back. Oh, Casey's back. My movements are easy and outs after 3 beers. Yeah. Oh man, Bob and I went to Buffalo Wild Wings Tuesday, and we had a hard. Was it Tuesday or Wednesday? Wednesday. I forget what day, but we were overserved, as they say. We had a good day. It didn't fix any of our problems. We came back in Thursday with just as many problems, but it was fun at the time. So these things are 2 seconds each, just like every cycle, so we'll keep it at 48 frames. And what I ended up doing was making these 2 poses symbols, because I'm going to do what we call kind of a stagger. So we're going to get started right away, and I'll show you how we're going to make him look scared. So I'll go to frame 5 here.
We did the stagger too, coming out.
Ease into the restaurant and go fast. Ease out the restaurant. Yeah. Yeah, I did. It was a fun day, but man, the next day was hard. So a stagger is something where you animate something straight ahead and then just kind of jumble up the frame so it looks a little more jittery. It's kind of like a strobe effect. So we'll do a little bit of an extreme here, since we're going to kind of keep this as the main pose. I'm going to rough out something real quick. Oh, I hear Cody's kids crying. And those of you just joining us, Cody's going to be joining us, so you can ask him programming questions, or more like, why isn't he programming questions? Because I have a few of those myself. So he'll be joining us soon, and you can hear his deep baritone voice. And then if you see him in real life, you'll be like, that voice does not match.
Looks like Cory.
He's a little weak. Okay, so we're going to stretch out the jaw here. He's going to kind of bend over a little bit more. So we're going to bend the shoulders a bit. Keep the arms up a little bit. Just a little more of an extreme pose here. Yeah, Bob and I had just one of those rough weeks, but things are kind of shaping up a little bit better now. We've commented a few times how 2019 has been very frustrating to us, and Tuesday I was doing the very similar thing. Stagger, I get it. Animation must have been invented in the post-prohibition. Yeah. Well, pre, then post. So yeah, but things are shaping up for us a little bit now. It seems like it got a little more lucrative work showing up on our door, stuff like that. Is anyone else freelance animator here? I know Lauren dabbles in it. She has her own career that's kicking butt and stuff. But is anyone else doing some freelance we get to talk about? We love talking shop about that kind of stuff. so we're gonna end up going around here. Here. Oh, and I'll show you how I set up kind of the promotional Twitch stream that we did this morning, too. It's sort of how we kind of mimic how the gameplay should be, and then, you know, it's off to the races for the programmers. We kind of give them guidelines on what we think it should move like. I kind of hear some rustling in the back. That might be Cody now. I just started a new freelance gig today, actually. Oh, can you talk about it? Summer tends to be slow for me. Yeah, it was slow for us, too. Kind of glad to hear that. Kind of glad and sad. You know, I'm sad for all of us that it's slow, but that we're not doing something wrong. No, it picks up in September for us. Actually, a few Christmas things. Kind of, there was a lot of talk of, which is nice to where we used to get Christmas freelance gigs December 23rd, and they were asking for the job finished December 24th. No, we're always curious to hear. Little game studio making some cool stuff. That's all I can say. We're doing some stuff for some game studios too. I've mentioned his name a few times. Michael Gordon. He's my favorite client of all time. He pays right when you finish. He understands the expedience of time, and he just lets us kind of draw our own thing. And he makes money, we make money, and everyone's sort of happy. That's all business should be. It's just an exchange of goods.
Can everybody hear me?
Oh, there's Cody. The future man's here. This is our programmer, everyone. He's been here on Twitches before when he was in the studio, but he's hailing from Florida, circa his garage.
My new garage.
New garage. It's fitting, since we're kind of a startup. I took the slowness to shoot a short, so that was nice. Hey, Cody, and GB. Oh, you know GB Crew in person, right, Cody?
Oh yeah, he said he was tuning in.
Is he where? And he's close to you, right? He lives down in Florida too.
Yeah, he's actually really close to like where you stayed last time you were here.
Oh, gotcha.
Right on the beach area.
Nice. Yeah, he's always commenting on our stuff. One of the few. No, we were just talking about freelance and stuff, and how that gets in the way of our passion projects. Cody's deep in that right now.
Oh yeah, I haven't touched blood since too many games, so.
Yeah. I've been meaning to talk to you about that, and now that we're live, we can. Well, we got Andrew on the case, and he's been sending out stuff. Did everyone who signed up for the bloodgame.com, did you get our one of the first emails we sent out in a while, actually? We sent some stuff out with some poster art that you guys can download for your phones and all that stuff. When we were featured in Edge magazine, we did 2 pieces of art, and they picked one, and we kind of kept the other for the people who sign up to blood.com. I live in Boca Raton. Oh yeah, I love Boca. I've been there a few times. That's beautiful there. Who's that on the phone? That is Cody. That is the future man. He's one of the programmers for our game Blood.
Oh man, I can't remember what was actually in the email.
No, we got the poster in there. We had a lot of fun stuff in there. And those who are worried about signing up because we spam, because people get spammed, and people do that, but I don't accuse us of doing that. We kind of just say stuff when we need to say stuff. So if you're interested, it's bloodgame.com.
That's why we don't write much.
And that's why. Where is all this stuff? So right now I'm kind of finishing up the stagger. You can see I'm just kind of in betweening straight ahead. And then I'll show you the stagger part, which I've shown a few times. We want to keep this game as lively as we can, so there's not a lot of still sprite characters. I try to keep everything on a cycle. I think the longest we hold something is 3 frames when we're shooting on 3s. But other than that, I don't think there's anything on 4s yet. Lots of stuff. Lots of sprite animation. But when you make things this small, it can be, you know, you can get a lot done in a day when you keep things this small and the brush kind of this thick. Oh, hey, Cody. Cody, you got a fan. That's one.
Boy. That'll change after.
That'll change. Savor the flavor. So we're gonna try to kind of do this as much as we can now with Cody. Maybe we'll get Andrew on if we can get him away from his work, and our writer buddy Greg. Maybe we can all join in.
I was just telling Andrew that if he could find a conference room at work and he has a mic, he should just join.
Can he do it?
I don't know.
I doubt it. Yeah.
He's actually getting work done.
He's kind of in the middle of it. One of us
Work.
Yeah, it's a bummer you have to pay for stuff. I don't want to talk to Cody. Oh, Andrew. I hear that. Alright, so we got kind of a simple stagger here, just 5 frames. When it's this small, you can go to 7 sometimes. Do a little ease in, ease out if you want a little more nuance, but we're going to try it at 5 first and see if it works. If it looks a little too sporadic, we can change it up. I'm just going to color it real quick. Alright. I'll pop over once I finish coloring this. Oh, the sirens. I knew it.
That's the sound of the police.
I am Cody.
I forgot I was designed in it.
This
Every
there.
week.
Oh, yep. There you go.
Good job, Cody.
You're blowing it.
Eh. What are you gonna do?
One of these streams, we should all just play the game.
We don't even have the controller anymore.
We don't? Who has
I think
that?
we left it at too many games. We're gonna have to get another Xbox controller here.
So let me just walk through what I just did in case anyone's confused. So right now you see it's just sort of this up and down animation. What I'm going to do is take frame 3 right here. I'm going to have a layer 2 above it. Move that to frame 2, 2 to 3, 5 to 4, and 4 to 5. So now you can see it gets this little shake right here. Now that's really quick, but we're going to shoot it on 2s. I'm going to copy the middle frames, Control-Alt-C, Control-Alt-V to paste them. Then I'm going to right-click and reverse frames. So now it's up and down with a little stagger. Now what I can do here is to make sure I keep the same chart as all the rest of the stuff. I'm going to grab the frame. This is my chart up here for all the other ones, so I can actually keep that chart so everything's kind of bouncing up and down at the same speed. Paste it in here, and then just kind of do that with the frames. You know, we're going to see how this looks. It might be a little fast. I have a feeling it's going to be. We'll see what it looks like. Oh, you know, that's not bad, I don't think. It's kind of cutesy. Alright, so you see now, I did a little overshoot and settle to that one, so we are going to have to animate that. Then a little antic here to get into this one where it's kind of curled over. We're going to do the exact same thing on this one now. But first, let me open up what let me open up the stuff I did this morning. In Twitch. I don't label things very good. This is shot fast, so it looks a little choppy here. You can see on my screen, but you can see sort of how we set this up. So I'm just going to show you first, and then I'll show you what it all entails. Now the idea is that we can kind of mock this to look like actual gameplay, and I think because it's just overhead, it's sort of technically just animation right now, so it's not technically gameplay at all, but just because it's this perspective, it'll give the illusion of gameplay, and most of the gameplay we do kind of mimics this anyway. So I'm going to view anti-alias so we can read it. So everything's embedded here, so we got all the animation kind of happening here, and then I kind of match the camera when I go outside the symbol. So you can see Cory disappears, and then she appears. So what I'll do is, these are the sprites that I showed earlier. You can see here that inside every symbol is just the animation. And this is all I do is swap the symbol. So I'll go to like this, once I want it changed, I can click on it, make a keyframe, go to swap symbol, and then I can find the symbol or the other sprite that I did, go there, and then it should register like that if we set it up right. So everything's always, whenever I make a new sprite, I duplicate the symbol, then just kind of replace the animation, so everything's registered when they're making sprites. Same exact principle here with Becky. I got the attacks, just kind of set up a little attack thing here, and if we do it right, it should all kind of go into each other. And you can see each one of these has its own kind of action in it. So these are the individual sprites that they'll take, program them, and put them in. And the bugs, I just did a quick cycle. There's kind of a thing we're working on in the first level where, you know, we were before vampires, or even a thing where kind of teaching you how to attack using kind of neighborhood vermin. So that's a little bug right there. And then we got roaches here, and the exact same thing was happening here, where I got all the roaches, got a hit, and a kill animation. So you can see it looks like a lot more animation than it actually is, because we're just taking little pieces of this puzzle and making and kind of fitting them in as we see fit, and bound in this beautiful background. And even these have some animation in it. We got like we got the flowers, even this, you know, we tried to make this feel as organic and lively as we can. A little, like if you hit this kind of circuit breaker, maybe it'll react. And he's been doing that to a lot of things. So all this stuff, oh yeah, we have the garage opening and closing, Cory's little makeshift laboratory. So there's a lot of stuff going on here.
Well, I wasn't about to redo his whole house.
No, we're not. not yet. Hey guys, who's that? I can't read. Oh, Nicholas Neighbors. Oh, good to see you again. That's a twofer. We got 2 days in a row. Alright, so let's go back to this. We're going to do the exact same stagger here. Copy this. Alright. Same symbol. Now, he's kind of ducking into this one, so we're going to want to overshoot for this one and stagger that way. So since he's coming from this, he starts in this direction, he's facing that way. Right here, he's going this way. So everything's gonna push that way right now for the stagger. Meaning his shoulder will come up like that. His knees will bend forward like that. This other Powerpuff Girl arm I made there. Eyes go forward this way. Jaw forward, and you can suck it in a little bit. This will go up because it's kind of coming in from that direction. Here, same thing. So when you're doing these things, if you're ever interested in kind of animation, you always have to kind of be wary of what the line of action is. Those of you who don't know what that is, it's sort of like the main part of the energy from the drawing coming. So sometimes people start with just a line of action, and then like this will be someone's spine, and then you can add stuff like that. So it's always Like if this was a big punch or something, we'd kind of draw the line of action. With the legs coming. Something like that, you know? So it's a big part of animation principle. And we have to keep in mind that his energy is going this way. Those backgrounds just so hard. Yo, that's all, Bob. We're gonna, you know, we occasionally have Fridays where he just does background stuff. It's all done in Flash too, and an old version of Flash, where he kind of makes his own textures that are vector, and then he kind of uses it to make it look painterly. When we first started, we wanted those painterly backgrounds, but we were like, how do we sort of mix it with Photoshop and all this stuff? And Bob just said, screw it, let's just make the texture vector, which probably saved on memory too when you think about it. All right. Plus it's smart because now he can just grab any texture he wants and apply it to any background he wants and just change the color. All right, so we got that. Gonna shrink the mouth here. I've been really liking adding like the jaws here. I used to always be worried about like silhouette. So if a head was there, I would never extend the jaw past it, like if this was the mouth. But lately I've been really liking it kind of just on the side. Just a different style point, but it's something's fun about it. It makes it feel more cartoony to me. Here, the beauty of these little ones here is, you know, you get to a certain stage in your career and you won't have to rough out everything, especially a settle. So I think there's nothing here that really scares me in terms of not roughing it out, so I'm just going to go and animate straight ahead like that. So we were talking about Freelance earlier. Anyone else? Lauren got a gig, which congratulations. Now, Lauren, do you work on that at night now? Or is it something you can work on during the day at your other job? Or is it all hush-hush? And if anyone else has any freelance, we've been on some podcasts before, Bob and I. I like the way you guys draw your side eye. Oh, thank you. Thanks. Early in the morning. Oh, okay. Yeah, you got the... I can't work before I get here. I've tried. It's never... I'm sort of a night owl because once the kids go to bed, I can really get a lot done. I'm always surprised at night because there's none of the... Like, we don't get phone calls at night. We don't get emails. It's just kind of peaceful. Though you get exhausted real quick.
Yeah, I've been working every night, like super late, and it's very productive.
I agree. It's hard in the morning with kids though.
Oh yeah.
Since my son's up with the crows. They take turns though, which is nice. One will try to sleep late, and the other will wake it up. Alright. 100, thanks for the preview of the sprites. Oh, of course. No, we do it for a couple. I always say we do it for a few reasons. It forces us to show our stuff, and it forces us to work. So we carve out time every week to do this. And I like showing our process. I don't think enough companies show the way they work. I don't know what they're scared of, or maybe they just don't care. But I like kind of showing everyone how we do stuff. I think it shows how much work's going into it. I think it's you know, some could find it informative. And there's just something nice about watching someone draw too, I think. Now, to get them from Flash to sprites is something I don't know. I guess we did it a little bit when Bob and I were trying to work on Voltron the game, under the tutelage of Cody, who was just telling us exactly what to type. It's like a stenographer. Hold on, I missed a bunch of stuff. I do a really crazy thing. I go to bed around 7 p.m., wake up around 3. That's not bad. Yeah, I read that about Marky Mark too. He like goes to bed at 7. Do you ever read his schedule? It's so
I feel like I would do that better too, actually.
It probably is too. The thing is, if we wake up around what time? Oh, 3 now. I mean, my kids are up at 4:45,
Yeah,
so I'd only get an
too
hour
much.
into it. Do you draw every single frame every time for everything? Looks like yeah. Well, this is Elenads. Sorry, I'm bad at these names. Yeah, we technically should be drawing frame by frame. Now, there's certain cheats and stuff. Like in these head symbols here. Like this is something we'll do a lot of too. So it gives the illusion that we're drawing every frame, but it's technically just 7 drawings down, 7 drawings up. It's the same one, so we reverse them. Now we'll keep everything on the same chart, so it looks like it's a pencil line drawing. But you know, if we're doing an ease in, ease out, we'll just draw the ease in, ease out down, then ease out, ease in, ease out, up. So it's just half the drawings and stuff, and then the same kind of structure with the body here. So this is an example where it looks like this is 48 different drawings, but it's really only about 13, and then we reverse them. But that's a principle of kind of cycled animation. So, and then when we do stuff like this character down here, you know, we're just panning a drawing that's kind of stationary and registered. So we're not drawing every frame every time he moves, but it's as traditional as we are comfortable with. So a lot of people call it tradigital, which I know some people don't like that term, but I think it's kind of closer to that, or at least on the fence between the two. So I have to continue with this moho thing, but I use limited hand-drawn animation via its switch feature. We tried moho once. I saw this really nice tutorial on moho where this guy took a Disney Robin Hood animation. Remember that, Bob? And I was like, oh, that's incredible what he was able to do with it. So Bob and I tried it, and it was really...
We couldn't draw it.
We couldn't draw on it. Like,
Well,
I didn't know how to
we-
draw one line in it.
We couldn't do frame by frame animation.
No.
It wasn't set up for it at all.
No. We're trying to kind of mimic a style for Blood too, where we want it to look like a certain Cartoon Network era. So we're kind of taking that in mind and trying to apply the tradition they added to it. And if you look at those old kind of early 90s, late 90s Cartoon Network, they were all sort of hand-drawn in a similar fashion. Mostly on paper, though. We don't have the bandwidth for that. We're no, like the people at Cuphead who did all that on paper, too. That's nuts. But it's game companies like the people who produced Cuphead that kind of opened our eyes to the possibility that it's like, oh, game graphics can be anything we want nowadays, so let's do some style that we wanted to do it in. Alright, so we got that all animated. Now just color. I always try to color with no closed gaps. Just kind of an OCD thing. thing, I think. But I don't like when there's little, you can see through it at some points if you don't do it. Ooh, and you see what I did here. I don't know if anyone can pick this up, but you see how everything's gray. I used the wrong color for the outline, so I'm just going to fill in those. When I click on here, sometimes I click the second to last one, the 333. It's a little too close. And you can't, it's hard for me to see, honestly, until I see it next to black. No, we are trying to talk to Netflix. I would love that. That'd be awesome. We're trying to pitch to them too with other properties. But I don't know how that works because I feel like I want to keep the IP of Blood ours. I don't want Netflix to really have ownership of it. Amateur move. Oh, Chet's on. I invited Chet to do one of these when it was the day we went to Wild Wings. I get chatty when I'm drunk. I do need to get him here. And Chet, know who's here? Is Cody. Say hi to Chet, Cody. No, or don't. Oh, what is it? Oh, Cody's not working again. That's it.
No, sorry, my wife was talking to me. What'd you say?
Chet's here.
That's a rookie move, inviting Chet.
Rookie move. Oh man. Says Cody. All right, so I got the stagger again. Chet and I know the stagger as the Jared stagger from our Super Jail days. But I also, was talking to our friend Vinny Scala too. Who he might be on this right now too. I want him to stop. He's right down the road, so he can stop by our studio. I don't know the practical way of doing it, but I think it'd be fun to have people just draw their characters and we try to animate it on one of these Twitches.
Oh yeah.
I'll just have him draw something early and then we could kind of work in and then you can hop on and do some post with it. I think it'd be a kind of a fun thing.
Somebody was asking about the pressure sensitivity.
Yeah, I have it on, but when you use these brushes as thick as I do, you can see right here it's on when I click at that little kind of teardrop thing. I got a thick brush on it, so I could get a real thin line all the way to a thick line if I press. I have a real heavy hand though. Like I leave with my fingers hurting all the time. You can get a nice, this is Flash MX, so if you use Adobe Animate, it's usually brush 5 or 6.
Rookie move.
That's a rookie move too. Renting when you can own. And you can kind of get a little bit of pressure sensitivity with that too. I find brush 4 kind of a really good place to start if you don't have to zoom in as big as we do. With these sprites though, they're so small that I can use a thick brush and still not spending a lot of time on each drawing. Who does the music production for Blood? That's Bob. He does, what program do you use?
Logic Pro.
Logic Pro. Using the low pressure. Oh, I'm sorry, Mickey, I didn't see that question right. They're for Flash MX, which is an ancient program. I don't even know if we can get it anymore. Which is this. There's only one setting to it. Now it's receptive to the Wacom that we have here. And I think the Wacom has over 1,000 sensitivity points or something. Probably more than the human hand can get, so. Alright, so now all we have to do is kind of animate this antic. Now this is the chart we have for every character here. We don't really have to abide by that though. Like if we want this to be a quicker or slower animation, we can kind of move these frames around and stuff. I kind of just use this as a base plate. Can the composer for Blood arrange my logo theme? Spoiler alert, it's an unused Super Sponge game over theme. I don't know what Super Sponge is. Well, Bob right now is pretty busy with everything we're working on now. I mean, if we could talk business and stuff after the Twitch if you want to reach out to our emails, which is, you You want to type out my email? If you want to reach out to Chris at Exit 73, we could talk business and stuff. All right. That's my email. All right, so let's see. We're gonna get into this antic first. My 2-frame antic. Just gonna kind of time it out here. And you know, sometimes you can almost see the animation even with the blanks. Like your mind kind of fills it in a little bit. So let's do that antic first. This is so close. I think I don't even need to rough it out. But yeah, I want Chet to be here, and I think you guys would get a kick out of Chet's characters and how he draws and all that stuff. He's a true blue animator. Not a lot of us left in New York.
We could just make him animate blood.
Or you could just animate for free. Or how about Chet? You just do a few sprites for us. Me and Bob will go to the bar next door, bring you back something. Does your process take a lot of time, Bob, for making the music?
Usually no. Right? I mean,
I've seen Bob crush some music pretty quick.
flunk through that stuff pretty quick. And then
He
there's
has a
days
good
where,
ear for like, you know, he'll take he'll have like some sort of music in mind that he already wants to do, or something he's heard. Like you like a lot of John Carpenter stuff, so
Yeah.
he'll like kind of take that into note, and I think it's gonna work great for Blood because, you know, John Carpenter is sort of the king of horror, and since we have horror elements and stuff, and with the style and kind of the bubblier, cartoonier stuff, I think it'll be fun. Perfect. No, Jed, we have to get you here. What's your schedule like? You mentioned and maybe next Friday. We'll have to set you up in a hotel. The Thing is the best. That's one of Bob's favorite too.
which is weird. That's actually not John Carpenter music, but it sounds.
Oh, really?
It's the guy that. It's Ennio Morricone. He did.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
The Bad and the Ugly.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
It sounds very heavily Carpenter.
Like he might have had
Yeah.
his finger on the scale. Alright. What I like about video game sort of animation, the way we're setting it up too, is like we're doing everything at the same line weight and the same sort of size, these sprites. So once I finish this scared little cycle here, we can use this as much as the story allows us without it feeling like a cheat. So I always like the idea of getting mileage. I use the word mileage a lot out of your drawing. And as a small studio like Bob and I run, you need a lot of mileage out of each drawing. We don't have the luxury of relying on freelancers or other animators or even any other employees. So we have to get a lot out of every kind of drawing we set up just to stay competitive with the big companies. We've managed to do it for, I think we're going on 7 years now. And there's only been a few times where our back was against the wall and I feel like we couldn't do it. But it ended up working out anyway. I think I'm a pessimist by nature, so I'm always thinking of the worst case scenario. Alright. So we're going to antic down, and when you antic down, you're going to go, the first frame for me anyway is going to be the in-between. You want that to be the fastest because you want to ease into it a little bit. Have you guys set a deadline for yourself? When we first started, we wanted some playable demo or something very close to being a complete level by 2020. I think we're on track to do that. We got a lot of assets. we got the story kind of hedging out and stuff. So I think by the time, we have 5 more months to do it. Right now we have sort of a demo level, but we want the actual first level of the game as the story allows us by the time we reach MagFest. We want kind of a 6 or 7 hour game though, so I don't have a deadline for that. It might be too depressing to figure that out. But once we get something like super solid that we're really happy with, I don't see any harm in releasing some sort of playable demo for other people to try out. And we're always kind of showing it off at these conventions too. Nothing's really under lock and key. It's just, we're doing this part-time too, which, every week that goes by and we're not touching as much as we should, is another week that we didn't work on it. But I don't know how else to do anything but part-time, so. Alright, so we're just easing out here. This is going to be the first frame. Oh, well, you guys started early today. Oh, no, Joe Whimsy, we always start at 2 at our time. That's 2 Eastern Standard Time. That's usually the time. And we haven't really deviated from that too much. And no, and every other week Bob's going to show some After Effects stuff that doesn't have to do necessarily with blood. Just something we call After Effects quick and dirty. And we say that because he gets it done quick and dirty, and then we post it on Twitter. Do you ever get tired of working on it? There's sometimes that, I'm too tired to, think about it too much. Like physically tired sometimes, but there's enough animation that with these characters that I don't really get bored of the characters. So I'm never, if I'm ever, a little exhausted about drawing Becky, I can swap over to one of the other characters or a villain, and there's always other stuff that I could be animating and stuff. So it doesn't get very arduous in that regard. But I've been on projects where, the wear and tear of just like a series gets really annoying to me. There's Chet and I have worked on a bunch of series together when we were at Augenblick Studios, and he could probably attest to it too, that there's only so many times we could do, like when we worked on Ugly Americans, how many shoulder shrugs did we do, Chet, of Mark? So cool that you guys streamed. Just found. Oh, cool. Well, thanks for joining us. No, we do this every week. This is week 33, maybe 32. We missed a week once and our numbers got all screwed up. But we also post all our progress on our YouTube channel, which we could post on here if you guys ever wanted to catch up on where we started this whole process. All right, let me do one more here. I'm using your style of animation for a little commercial. My boss liked it. Let's hope the client. All right, yeah, do it. I don't even know if it's our style, to be honest. We might be mimicking. People seem to call it the CalArt style, which I kind of take offense to, because the people who are calling it that are all people who founded that style started at SVA, which is an East Coast thing. Now they moved out to LA and made great, big names for themselves and stuff. But I think it started in New York. Or maybe I just have too much New York pride to admit that it might not have. Well, when you think about it.
The old CalArt, like when they called, Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah, well, that guy, he's LA though, right?
Yeah, and they were all from CalArts.
Yeah.
But this new thing they call.
Yeah, the new. It wasn't called the CalArt style until then, is what I've learned. When I do these roughs, I switch to a different color just so when I clean it up, kind of have my bearings with me. Oh, another kind of trick I do in Flash MX is I'll take the color I use a lot for the pencil tool and put it up there, so when I grab this, I could just go right up and use it again. John K. and the CalArt style intensifies. It's evil. Super cool. I'd consider myself a beginner animator who mostly does motion design. I recently made a cartoon featuring Twitch streamers. Any critiques would be great. You want to click on that, Bob? Oh, I saw this on... Where did I see? I saw this on Facebook not too long ago. Are you on the traditional animation feed or one of those in Facebook? I saw this. The way you animate is definitely not CalArt. No, I don't think so myself. We studied traditional animation at SVA back in way early 2000s, way back 18 years ago. I was always gravitated towards kind of the early Fleischer stuff, like the Popeyes and the Betty Boops and all that stuff. So I always kind of liked their methods of animating, especially their timing, and everything seemed to have a kind of a ironclad rule about it, and they were really into kind of structure and stuff, but mostly the timing and stuff. So I kind of always based anything that was a passion project around that kind of timing. Alright, so now we got this. Now for the other side, since he's bending down, it's slowing down, we're going to favor this pose to get to here, so this will be kind of an overshoot. Oh, a new subscriber. I never hear this until the headphones. Mini Chan 2. Hey, how you doing? Thanks for joining us. No, what feed is that? I like to join. Oh, if you go to traditional animation Facebook, there's two fan groups. So there's one that's private. I think you just ask to join and someone will click on it, and it's really nice stuff on there. But I did see it. I feel like I saw that on Facebook. Okay, so this is going to be a big ease out. So this will be the halfway point. Now we got kind of a... So his head's sort of doing this thing where it goes... Let's get a different color. Oh, another subscriber. So his head's going down like that, kind of like this arc. Now when you bring your head down like that, you think about the arc to get to the other way. And the most natural way, I would think, would be, since you're kind of going up to down, now it'll be down to up, not that way. So we're going to use that kind of as a guide, which means the eyes will, like a normal in-between, I would just take this eye and kind of split the difference here. But now we can favor kind of going down here. So we get kind of a different arc, a more natural arc that the eye would do. Which means it would lower the eyebrows, lower the head in general. And also with these characters, I never really do, like, if his face is like that, and, you know, ooh, and more subscribers, awesome. I would never do a front face where his mouth is exactly in the middle. I'll always favor side, so I'll kind of go like that, even when his eyes are straight ahead. It just kind of helps with the cheeks and stuff to make it look a little more organic. Is the gig gonna... Oh, yeah, we're gonna have a lot of stuff. Oh, and Dan Drill, subscriber. Oh, I don't know what that means, but thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Affiliates, so I think it's our first,
Oh, that's our first... The one that... Oh, thank you so much. We really appreciate that. We had to send you something. We'll send you a personalized drawing. Is the game gonna have secret achievements, stuff like that? Yeah, we have a bunch of plans. We already have some stuff in there. Even it's kind of an inside joke we have in the demo now that kind of pokes fun at our friend who's also making the game and stuff. But we'll have stuff where, you know, if you're not paying attention, you'll pass right through it and stuff for sure. I think that's the fun part of game making is when you get to that level where you can add these little things that won't even get seen. Another subscriber, what up, buddy? Bloody twist, yeah. It's cool, especially for. Yeah, did you get to watch Bob's?
Maybe the next week we'll just do a rigging.
You want to do that?
Like,
Can you do it in After Effects?
Yeah, we'll do like.
Sure.
What I used to do on Umis and stuff. We'll do like.
Yeah, no, he'll.
We don't
Bob.
really need to-
Bob has. His career has taken him to like a lot of the After Effects kind of based shows that were on when we were both in New York City. Where my career kind of was more of the hand-drawn stuff. So you can kind of see, you see this kind of, it's hard to see with this crappy drawing I just did, but you can kind of see if I leave that arc on there, you can see that it's a two down arcs. And animation is mostly about the arcs you're making with the character. There's very little kind of linear lines unless you're doing something super robotic. All right. Let me clean this up. Go to 400 again. Eyebrows down. Kind of follow the arc too. Alright. The eyes are kind of rolling, like doing a big roll around his glasses here. His eyes are different than everyone else's too. When we first designed him, he kind of has small pupils, where then we got to the big pupil thing, so he's a little different looking than every other character, but I'm okay with that. Alright. Legs are so small here, isn't it? Alright. Gonna get rid of that top layer, don't need that anymore. Alright. So now it's an ease out, so we're gonna favor this side again. This is the keyframe that we're gonna kind of do in a direct in between. Oh, more subscribers, this is great. Oh, look at that. Well, thanks guys, we really appreciate it. You know, when we first started, I say this a lot, but when we first started Blood, it was a while ago, but we had no real expectations other than, well, let's animate something, let's make a video game. It was a failed pitch that Bob and I never followed through with. Cody took a look at our pitch packet one day. He wanted to make a game. We wanted to be part of making a game, and that's sort of where the whole idea started, just from this failed venture we took. And you know, we started posting stuff about it, and it's gotten, you know, got decent attention. Then all of a sudden, people just really gravitated towards it, and it was something that we just wanted to make our own kind of style, and we didn't know if it would marry well with a video game. And you know, everyone who gets to play it always enjoys the artwork and the story and everything we're putting in. So it's been a very rewarding journey, and it's one that I'm glad we're taking, and I'm glad we're in the middle of it too now. You know, it feels like we're at an inflection point where we have to finish this thing now. We feel obligated. We've come too far. It's something we work on every week. It's something I think about a lot. I leave these Twitches and have to go back to kind of our other work, and I find myself just thinking about what I worked on. So it's been pretty incredible. And I'm glad everyone finds something about it that they like in it too. So, all right. So we got this. You see how it kind of swung the arm? I did this little drag to the arm, and then it just pops to that one. Now we might add another in between to that. I want to see what it looks like. Sometimes, you know, a pop settle is the answer to these animation things. I don't necessarily like to lean on it because it feels a little flashy to me. All right.
Is Cody even there?
I
Yeah,
do some typing. You're just,
in an average Twitch stream, I sit at my computer for 2 hours and watch, and my wife has asked me to leave the room like 10 times since I've been on here.
They don't. They instinctually know when something you're doing something other than straight work.
Okay, so you see what I did here? I made the mistake. You see how the...
Joe Whimsy got the mobile wallpaper.
Oh, cool. Thanks, Joe. Do you like it? Cody has it on his computer.
Yeah, I have it on my phone.
Her phone, yeah.
Oh, her phone. Can we take a screenshot of... Can you... Oh, could you... I'll hold it up to the camera. I don't have a camera.
Oh yeah, you can't quite see that.
But you see, that's... Oh, that's one... That's not even the wallpaper. The one we sent in the...
We got two. We put that one.
Oh, that one's on it
That's
too?
the one we sent to her.
Oh, cool. And what about the other poster?
That's the one. I made that into like a phone wallpaper. Both of them I turned into wallpapers.
Okay, cool. So what I did here was I made the mistake. It was kind of floating here, the glasses. So I kind of posted it back out. Where do you? Okay, so
We sent them out and
if you signed up to bloodgame.com, there should be an email from Cory, the guy I'm animating now, who has all that stuff. But we can send you something too, Lauren, if you're not signed up to that. We'll be happy to.
Or maybe check your spam. It might have been sent
It might
there.
be in spam. Which I don't blame you guys. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna see. I mean, that's a kind of a fun twist, but let me just add an in between here. I don't know if I would like. Well, let's draw it and see if we don't like it. We can always go back. Yeah, if you I don't. But now, if you subscribe, do you get it? I don't know. I don't know how that works.
yeah, we have to talk to Andrew about that.
We have to talk to Andrew. Maybe we could just put it on bloodgame.com and you could just download it or something.
There's an auto email that it emails you back when you subscribe.
Oh, okay.
So we could add it to that.
Okay,
later.
cool. Yeah, we'll do that so you guys can get it.
And Andrew put them in this. Thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, just grab it here.
It'll be a special for here only.
Here only. Not even on YouTube. Alright, so these glasses disappear. This arm's gonna start coming around here. This arm's gonna come up here. The feet, you kind of just fake to one side or the other. Let's see if that looks okay. You know, I'm okay with that. Let's do it. Then we're gonna have to do getting to this post here. Also, it's about an hour in. I like to invite all the newcomers here. If you have any animation questions that you're interested in, how we might approach, if you have an animation problem or a question how we do certain things, if you've seen our body of work and are interested in that. It doesn't have to do with blood. If you just want to know like a little tip on how we did something, let us know in the comments here and I could try to show you guys live. You can can open up some old files, see any of our shorts we did, any of that stuff too. So let me know. I'm stopped. Only got one email so far since we're very aware that we don't want to spam people. As a person who gets way too many emails every day, I appreciate the days I don't get emails.
Yeah, I believe that is the only.
That
one
might be the only one.
Said that.
We wanted to kind of.
Yeah, we did the one with the trailer. It was the last email.
Oh, that was the last one. We have to work on a new trailer. Got a lot more stuff.
We're gonna work on a game.
Well, we should work on the game. What do you guys think? The game?
I don't know. I don't know about that. That's something future Cody will do.
Future. Is that what the name is? How do you do the G.I. Joe style? Oh, that's kind of apropos. We're kind of thinking about doing something like that. Let me open it up. I'll show you.
Actually, before you even open that, somebody was asking about Adobe Animate runs laggy.
It runs laggy for you too? You're not the only one. No, we're not giant proponents of Adobe Animate. We use it because we have to on certain jobs, but I grew up on Flash MX in the industry, so I've definitely gravitated towards it. And me saying that, I kind of know what I sound like, this kind of old man who just stuck in the ways I'm used to it. But I actually do find the drawing a lot easier in MX. So anytime we get the opportunity to do a personal project like this, we're gonna kind of do it in the way we see fit. And there hasn't been any real project that we started in MX that we couldn't kind of figure out. If it's just a drawing problem, and most of animation is, there's not much Adobe can add. The Adobe Animate can add that isn't in Flash MX. Now, if it's a puppeting thing, that's a different story. But not a lot of this stuff is puppeted, so I kind of gravitate towards this. I'm gonna finish coloring this, then I'm gonna get to that G.I. Joe style. That who asked about that?
Dan.
Dan, yes. The other way I signed up. We got the. How do you guys do? Cool. Just check in. It's still possible. Is it still possible to download MX? I don't know where you would find it. I had a copy on my super old computer that I just been. It's it's not licensed or anything, so it's not something we could even get in trouble for. It's just one of those old programs that I don't think when MX was made, I don't think they thought of like any of the licensing stuff. I don't know where you could find it. Probably find it on LimeWire. I learned so much just by watching these videos. Thanks, son. Oh, of course. Yeah, no, I love posting this stuff. I love that people are interested in animation. I have a lot of, anyway, it's not an easy medium, and it takes a lot of time to learn, and, you're constantly learning it, and I'm excited to see what Bob and I learn in the years to come with animation. It's not something you kind of just stop. So anytime someone wants to learn the way we animate, I find it just flattering and love to spread the word on how we do stuff. Alright, enough dilly-dallying. I had to show the G.I. Joe stuff. Now, a lot of that is post stuff to make it look old, but I could show you how we did the drawings at least. And for those of you, do you want to throw one of the G.I. Joe ones up there, just so people get some context? What is that even called, INSA? And what is that in Joe?
INSA.
Do we have it? Where can we find that?
I have like the whole playlist.
Do you have a folder called the funniest videos of all time?
I'd have to put a lot of stuff in that. Where is
There's not
INSA?
much that would go in. So that-
Oh, NSA. Okay. No, I'm just looking for... What's Thin Ice? Thin Ice is one of the better ones. God, we did this 5 years ago. that's the finished one. Okay, so here's the audio too. It's gonna be loud.
Wait, watch out! There's thin ice over there!
I know what I'm doing. This is a shortcut.
Do we even have the background here?
Oh no! Help! Help!
Hold on, I'll get someone.
Oh, Prism, thank you.
Don't worry. At the
I thought we had them.
in SA, we know how to survive
I
on
thought we
thin
did,
ice. First, shout loudly that you're acting in everyone's best interests, because terrorism.
What?
Second, reach out to the secret court for legal
So we
approval.
made this
Shouldn't I be grabbing a tree branch or something?
No. If your stunning still
everyone
hasn't
found out
improved,
the NSA was
launch
watching
a Bieber
everyone, so
alert
this
on
is kind of-
CNN to distract the
didn't even time
sheep.
out very well.
Then terminate the shepherds.
Wait, what?
So that's, you can see it's very limited animation. And you can see, like, these are the keyframes here. It's all on 3s and 4s and 2s. But it was really just a lot of reference for us to kind of do this. We had to match the line weight, which you can see is super thin. So I think we zoomed into 400 brush 4 on this one. This one probably 600 or 800. And then it was just a lot of kind of picking the colors. We picked a lot of muted colors. And then Bob does this thing where he'll grab it and he'll add cell shadow and all this stuff. Actually, that would probably be a good thing to show how you do that in After Effects too.
Wait!
Like how you age something like to make it look like this was found footage almost.
Probably do it a lot better than you did at the time.
Hey,
Yeah,
watch out!
I
There's thin
imagine.
ice.
So it was the same principles we're doing here where we focus on line weight. What's this? Oh, here's the background. You just have it done. So this is all done in Flash, and then Bob went into it and made sure it was pretty in Painterly. Is this on the backgrounds too? No. And then we kind of just aged it in post a little bit. But you can see we grabbed some stills from G.I. Joe. We took their color palette. We really focused on the line weight. Now the only thing if you look at a cell and you see how it cleaned up, like there's always these sort of little etchings on the ink that we didn't really have the time to do. So if we wanted to, we could actually go in there, kind of separate the black line, make it look like it's a little less solid and stuff to make it look a little more aged and stuff. So that's sort of how we approached that one. But it was a lot of kind of referential stuff where we looked at old G.I. Joes and He-Mans and all that kind of stuff, and then moved accordingly. Sorry for asking about old. Don't apologize at all. LimeWire. Nice. Oh, very cool. Thanks, Joe Whimsy. Glad that, yeah, no, please use that big poster we did. No one's seen it, and it took some time, so anytime. I'm happy to show any of that stuff. But when someone comes to us and says, "Can you do it in this style?" we'll always grab stuff like from the internet's great that way. You can just grab still frame of it. If you just look up G.I. Joe cells right now, you can probably find some and just grab the colors right away. But I have hold on 1 second, I'm gonna grab something. Our old He-Man thing.
Oh yeah. We should get that from one.
Yeah, I'll get what's up. One of my favorite cartoons was He-Man, and you could see, I don't have the camera on, but you can see around his boot that's like painterly flecks of paint and stuff. And there might be even a reflection of this. You can see that's an actual cell of He-Man lifting a boulder very casually. I love that show. But yeah, if you ever see a cell in real life, it's quite cruddy. And then there's this thing called cell shadow, which you could probably see in old Disney stuff. You could definitely see in old Disney stuff where they had so many cells because so many characters were on that when it was shot on the camera, the light reflected and you would see which layer everything was on. So we were kind of aware of that with the G.I. Joe stuff too, where we added a little bit of transparent shadow under it to make it look like it was shot on a camera itself, not in Flash. And I think it's those little details that sort of sell that old found footage stuff.
Yeah,
Now, if we really wanted to do it, we should have done it in standard, which was a frame, you know, it wasn't widescreen, and G.I. Joe wasn't either. So the eyes are going to go down again. No, it was an interesting time. You think about the labor that went into animation. It's amazing it stayed around, like when it was like that. Just what had to go into making a cartoon. Now we can, you know, we could post what we did today on Twitter. I could do that now, but before, when you were shooting it on Oxberry and doing all the stuff and had cameramen and inkers and painters and, you know, they just had, it was just an incredible feat of organization.
Now it's a lot of people saying you can change this. Change
No, I love that we kept the same amount of people involved. It's just them changing stuff to keep them, you know, around.
Meanwhile, somebody used to have to actually cut a piece of film apart.
No, the old editors had to use, they spliced old editing stuff. So it's gonna get scared here. What did
This demo's asking about cell shadow.
How do you create a cell shadow on After Effects? Bob, can you kind
I
of...
believe it's under perspective, and just there's a drop shadow you can use and mess with a little bit to get one pretty quickly.
You could do kind of a full one easily too if you like if I grabbed, you could sort of do a full one if you grabbed all these and painted them all black and then just went to alpha and changed it to like 25%. You could get a little something too. But what's nice about the thing in After Effects is it adds a little, I think, Gaussian blur probably
Yeah.
to it, which gives it it gives it a more natural kind of not hard line.
There's a bunch of different ways you can probably go about it.
No, it's a cool way to look at it, and then you could add film grain and all that stuff. Yeah, you should we could do an After Effects like that, make something look old. I think that'd be a fun one. We could kind of do an old
It's
old
really
style.
just have a lot of plugins.
It's a lot of Red Giant.
Yeah.
Does Red Giant do that too?
Oh yeah, they've got it.
Oh, they do the old stuff?
Not. Yeah, that's what I did for the pencil test. The JoJo thing we did.
Thoughts on Photoshop for cell animation? Whatever. I personally don't use Photoshop to draw a lot in, but I
Probably
just
get it more realistic.
you could probably make it look a lot more realistic if you're going for an old
And you could also
look.
take as long as it used to.
Yeah. But I look at all these programs as a tool, and a tool in the hands of a master carpenter can take an old hammer and build you a whole deck, or you could take the newest deck building technology and put it in the arms of an amateur. You can end up with a pile of wood. So I just treat everything sort of thusly as, it's not so much the program as the draftsman behind it, I find. Now, that being said, I've seen people do amazing stuff in Photoshop. It's just something I've been so accustomed to animating in Flash that to change now would have to be sort of on a basis of a hobby. So we got that, and then I'm going to show you how we're going to add sweat to this guy because he's nervous, and it's the same sweat I've been using in all them. Again, kind of circling back to the mileage of every drawing. But no, to get like painterly backgrounds though, you really do need to do those G.I. Joe things. You had to do that in Photoshop, right, Bob? You can do that in Flash.
What do you mean? To get the what?
To get the real painterly backgrounds, like you
I mean,
did for the.
We'd cheat it. I'd figure out ways to cheat
You think it would save you time in the long run? Or?
Yeah, like we kind of did the painterly thing
Just
on
for-
the bleacher reports.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Kind of make like a texture that you have
Mhm.
playing the whole time over just the color.
You keep saying you like to keep the production team small, but would you guys ever be open to inviting another freelance animator or game designer? We have no budget for this, so it would, we would have to get like an angel investor or someone involved to really expand the team. And we have no real deadline for this, which is, it could be a death note for us too. I'm scared of that a little bit, but to bring someone on and ask them to work for free and all that stuff, that feels a little disingenuous to someone who would have to work full time on it. I mean, I do like the idea of small teams, though. That being said, I've always kind of used the analogy of garage rock, where the reason I like garage rock is because it's not overproduced. And what I mean by that is, like, you get a bunch of like-minded people in a band that just want to create music, and it doesn't mean they're even great musicians. It's just they work well together, and that's sort of what we built here. And and that's why. And if you listen to old garage rock, and I'm talking about like 60s, 70s stuff, where it's really gritty and not, you can tell it's a 16-year-old playing bass and stuff. It just has this charm to it that you don't get when you get like someone like the Beatles in the studio and doing, layers and layers of music. Okay, wait, I missed this. I missed a bunch of this. Two, or someone to sit there and get beer. I keep asking alcoholic beverages to sponsor us, and I don't think they're watching this. I get the impression that no one at Bud Light is watching this right now. What do you think? Oh man, they could just pay us in product. The streams would be a lot worse. Alright, so this is gonna be one finished sprite soon. What was that? We started that, so each sprite takes about an hour and a half, I guess, for a 2-second thing. Which, when you look at animation and you see what goes into a second of animation, not the worst turnaround time. Now, there's also some cheats, like, this is just a 5-frame stagger, this is a 5-frame stagger, so it's not 48 drawings or anything, but, you get a little bit of a story within the sprite. You can hopefully tell he's scared and stuff, and like I said, trying to get a little mileage out of it. I'm gonna grab this sweat here. Let's see what layer that's on. Okay, so that's the sweat here. So I'm going to grab that. It's another bonus of using everything at the same line weight. Now I'm going to take the sweat here, I'm going to post it here, and you see how I got the chart up here, or where the frames are. We're just going to copy that chart now. See what it looks like. So just going to grab those frames, go like that. So we got that. What's this one? This is another one. We would do that up here in reverse. What's nice about this sweat is I can just use it as much as I want. So I kind of got like this double tier sweat here. Copy that. Post that here and just go on the other side. Reverse the frames, not reverse them, flip them. So we got that looking kind of, and this is just playing with timing. There's no real science to this at all. probably move this one over here. Kind of get a little stagger here, so let's play that at that timing again. Alright. Now we can move these. These are a little too far. I never want to break the contour of his character, though. I know the switch just sort of appears, but whenever I always have this weird... Oh, I have to change that. Keep it on the same chart. I have this weird thing. I don't want it to overlap on the character, so I don't... Move that one down. Always want to keep the silhouette looking good. Keep adding this, and then gonna repeat it over here. Do a nice little cycle here. All right. Now, when they break the plane here, I just grab these frames and put them in the beginning, so it just repeats the cycle. Which could get muddy, but we can always play with it too. Yep. Alright, I can live with that. And then I just kind of keep everything on, so it's not layer crazy. Get rid of that. I'll always keep the chart in there. Alright, so we got a scared one. Now we can move on to the mad fella over here. Okay, what I missed a bunch of stuff is in a fast way. Are there any resources, tutorials you recommend for cell animation? My favorite book is the Richard Williams book. It kind of goes into every, I forget what it's called actually, so I'm eating my words here. But I think it's called the Animation Survival Guide. That sort of, Richard Williams is one of the best animators on the planet, probably of all time. He has, you know, the same 12, 13 principles everyone uses. Animator Survival Guide, that's right. Yeah. He has the same thing we've been using for 100 years now. It's something you probably learn a lot from, just kind of taking a look for it. And he breaks things down very... Oh, thanks for the subscribe. And that kind of covers all the animation basics, and he breaks it down real simply too, which is nice because he's beyond the simplicity of animation. Trust me. All right, so we're gonna move on to the angry guy while we still have a half hour here, plenty of time. Alright, so I got this thing where he's going to be seething in the bottom. He's going to kind of take a deep breath up here, with kind of another stagger kind of movement here. Breathe down, breathe up, breathe down, breathe up. I separated the arms. Don't need that. So, what we're going to have do, he's going to, when you think about when you're doing it angry, something like that, you would kind of shake at the bottom a little bit. So we're gonna keep this as another stagger here. Then I can do some stuff with the arms. So I'm gonna make this a symbol. Cory. 3-4 means 3/4, which is sort of the angle he's facing at. We could double this as the profile view too. Mad pose. 01. So this is just going to be my stagger animation I go into. It's going to end on this one this time, so we're going to start lower. He's, you know, if you think about the antic that I showed you in the other pose, he starts up here. So when he goes down, he's going to bend the knees a little more. The jaw is going to close a little tighter. The eyebrows are going to shrink a little lower, and kind of the face is going to squash, if you think about it in terms of volume. and tricks you'd give to a beginner animator. I think one of the better things you could do. There's always the thing that for timing you use the bouncing ball trick. But I think to really put your feet to the fire is try to start with the walk cycle, because it has a lot of it just has a lot of layers and a lot of principles within it, you know, in terms of timing and arc and all that stuff. So what I would do is start with the legs almost. You know, you start with the poses. Oh, let me get right here. You know, you got the poses of the legs. Don't worry about the head or anything, those are a separate thing. Torso comes out. You know, so you could start with kind of individual body pieces like that. And you'll really get a sense of the timing and what needs to go into something like animation if you're just brand new to it. This is the back leg here. So start with the walk cycle. Try to make it a 1 second walk cycle, which means it'll be a little brisk. So the last frame will be 13, 7, 45, because this will teach you about 3s and 2s as well. Okay, so this is the back leg. Just calling this in real quick. Oh, so this is the back leg on this one. This will be the front leg. This goes up. And then you would study the movement of that. So just start with something simple like the walk cycle here, like that. You can see Cory popping up and down here. And then you could kind of move on from each frame from that, and I think that's a good place to start. Then you can get, you know, practice with the arms and all that kind of stuff like that. The question, did you have I seen was that the 3D version of it? Or the newer version? Oh, the newer stuff, the new stuff. Yeah, I you know, again, I'm gonna sound like the bitter old man, but I maybe I just don't like change. I don't know, but something about it lost its charm to me when they kind of made it look like modern Cartoon Network stuff. Yeah, not a giant fan of it. I understand though, like, you know, they want to rebrand it for the new generation. So, you know, my generation's not buying anything Powerpuff Girls anymore, and or they probably shouldn't be anyway. I don't know, they might be. I don't know. So I get, you know, I get the business side of it where that's happening, but to me there is more charm in the older stuff. But I think a lot of people say that about anything you grow up on, you're gonna probably enjoy more too. So I'm just roughing this out.
Yeah, the opening intro to that was pretty good though.
I guess I had to check it out. But it is the one we're thinking about, right?
Yeah, no, they did. It was a pretty good. It was no.
Yeah, there's a twerking scene. Was it like it was super stylized?
Yeah.
Yeah, no one is stylized. Intros are always cool. I like how they take risks with intros too.
Like the one that everybody hated, but it looked amazing. Thundercat.
Oh, yeah, everyone was hating on that Thundercats thing, but I actually liked the intro I saw by Studio Yoda. just a fantastic studio. You guys, everyone knows Studio Yoda, right? Am I even saying it right? Is it not
It's
Yoda?
I think it's
Yeah,
Yada.
it might be Yada. I call it Yoda. I'm reading it phonetically. But they do. They have I think some of the best, most unique timing in animation. I think right now. Like I love you examine their stuff and the charts are kind of all over the place and it looks heavily anime influenced in terms of timing. Some of the humor too, I think. But they did such a nice job of everything. They're all over the place too. They do a lot of stuff. Love their stuff. No, and that when that new Thundercats thing came out, boy, did people pounce on that. But the intro I thought was pretty beautiful. Some of the coolest camera work I've seen. I mean, it was cartoonier, and people, say what you will about that, but the execution of it was excellent. They do some intense chromosphere. I don't know if I've heard of that. The twerking. Yeah, I think I think Studio Yada just did the intro to that. I don't. Is that even out now? Or do they?
No, I think.
I never heard of anyone watching it.
Maybe they canceled it.
I hope they didn't just.
Now we just saw from me, and they are.
Yeah, they canceled another one of our where we cut our teeth on. But according to Ian, it looks like he got to tell his. He had enough time to figure out that the OKKO was gonna be finished after the whatever season it was, so we got to tell the whole story. Yeah, no, got canceled.
I will have to say though, like, I feel like it hasn't been on that long, and it's already had like 80 episodes or something.
No, those guys, that's the old school kind of way of doing stuff, where a season would be 75 episodes. That's very Thundercats too. Chromosphere LA, they did that. Oh, Carmen. Oh yeah, that is nice stuff. That new Carmen Sandiego looked great, I thought. No, but what else did Studio Yada do? And what's that Argentinian company?
I never.
They do some.
To invite or something like
The
that.
Ricochet. What was that called? Ricochet Typhoon or something crazy?
Yeah, they did.
That
the
is some of the
really
coolest
cool-
things,
They did the Lucky Charms commercials.
Yes. That. I forget what that thing's called. So that looks very anime too. Let's see here. All right. Just keep doing this stagger here. Yeah, anyone who doesn't know Studio Yada should check out their stuff, though. If you adore animation, you'll eat it up.
Oh, these guys did a bunch of stuff.
That I've always liked.
I don't know how. Yeah.
But these guys. Oh yeah, they're.
Junior guys.
Yeah, send that along too. This is we loosely we both worked on cereal commercials at the same time with these guys. Not together. It just we bid on the commercial they got, and they definitely earned it better. Like they're way better than us. Just a real kind of cool. All right. Golpadura. I never heard of that. General Mills, yeah. What is your stream schedule? Every Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern is Drawing Blood. That's this one where we animate these sprites. Every other Thursday, which will be, we just did one yesterday, is Bob shows some After Effects stuff. So in 2 weeks, I don't know the date of that, but that'll be another After Effects stream. So we do about 10 a month, and this one's every week. And it's always on Friday at 2. And if you follow us on Twitter or Facebook, we always kind of announce when we're going live too, so. Do you guys have VID? We do have old. I think this is episode 33. So we do have all the old stuff on YouTube. If you check out our YouTube, which is that. Could you grab that?
Just Exit 73.
Yeah, if you just check out Exit 73 Studios on YouTube, you'll see it's called Drawing Blood or Making of Blood, and that has everything in that, including the After Effects ones. And we kind of try. And if you have any questions on those, just throw the question on the video, and we'll do our best to answer it. All right, we'll talk to you soon. We'll be here next Friday if you want to join us again. We'll probably be doing more Cory stuff. I might get into walk cycles for all these different moods for next week. So it'll be a fun exercise to sort of see like how an angry run cycle will go as opposed to a scared run cycle. And we won't have to do that with every angle. I just want to get some sort of sprites done to tell the story we need to in the game. In fact, this mad sprite's probably not going to be used too often because he's more of a scaredy cat. Oh, this is the last one. All right, see you soon, Nicholas. Hope you enjoyed. All right. Let me color this one. And we'll probably post something on Twitter about this once I'm gonna, I don't know if I'll be able to finish this during the when we end in a couple minutes, but we'll post all this on Twitter, what we did today. Sometime, hopefully today, maybe tomorrow, if I don't get to finish it. I got my wife's working tomorrow, so I got the kids all day. I take them to the park and run them ragged, so they take a long nap and I can work. Alright. Okay, so I'm gonna copy these again, just so I have the same chart. So I copied and reversed the frames again. So he's got this kind of little angry stagger we got going here. It's gonna kind of go up and take kind of a deep breath, or it could even be, it could be a scream if we need to. That doesn't really matter. But it's always down. So now we just have to kind of animate the arm in tandem with that. And I just separated the arm just to keep, so I can puppet that if I need to. Because what I could do is try to do I think we'll do another, I'll do a different kind of stagger with this arm. I'll show you what I'll do. Alright, so this is Cory. 3, 4. Mad arm 01. I usually don't name my layers good, and it's always come back to bite me, I feel. So what I'm going to do here is two different ways to stagger. So this, I do it on 2 layers here. So one, keeping in mind the shoulder's always the focal point. So what I'll do first, keeping the shoulder here, gonna disrupt that out first. It's gonna go one down like here for this up one. So I'll ease out on that. Then in the opposite direction. Keeping in mind that. I'll go the other way. And then I'll just animate that accordingly. Just a big ease out. See, when you work this small, it's just so easy to crank through these. So it's going to be an ease out, which means the first frame will be the first in between, the exact middle of that. This is a nice little trick if, like, say, like, you shoot an arrow into the wall. If you watch when an arrow hits, what it does is kind of does this little flutter like that. And that's what I'm essentially doing with the arm on this one. Where he's so angry that he's shaking that violently. And if you watch how it settles, it'll eventually reach the middle. Kind of stay still. Two more, and then I'll show you what we do, how we kind of stagger this one. So it's a different stagger altogether. I should probably, I don't know what to even call this one to differentiate the difference between that and the one where I just kind of move frames around. This is almost like a shuffle, like if you're shuffling a deck, because I'm taking 2 different sides and then shaking them up. Alright, so they both meet in the middle here. So the last frame's the same on both of them. See how that happens? So what you gotta do is just make sure each one's on 2s, right? Now you can take either one and move it over a frame. In this case, I'm trying to think. I'm gonna want to start on the bottom. Here, that'll be the first frame because he's coming down, so his arm to overshoot will be lower. So then I move it over a frame like that. So then I just grab the top frames and just move them down in between the other 2. So we got this kind of, see, it's kind of like how an arrow would do that. Then we can get rid of the last frame since that's the same exact one. Oop, oop. Yep. Okay. Gonna grab my chart again. Just move these. Then you can reverse the frames. Which means he'll just get, like he loses his temper and then comes back to it. So it kind of stays in the middle, then he gets angry again. So kind of, you see, he gets kind of start seeing it working here. And I actually kind of, that timing just with that serendipity that it worked out nice because he's kind of settling into it, then he builds up to get angry again and start the scream. I'll do the same exact thing on the other side. Another arm. Hold on. Can you talk about arcs, please, if you haven't before? Sure. You know an easy way to do it in Flash, too. I'll show you a real easy way to do arcs. Would you... Okay. Nothing new there. Okay. Alright. So. Say I'm going to do something simple, like... I'm going to puppet this one, just to show you what I mean. Say you have an arm. Okay. So I'm going to separate them. Right now they're separated, well, just to show an example. Then on this one, I'm going to make that a symbol. Now, when you think about in betweening, a lot of people just draw a straight line. Grab everything here. I'm just gonna do a simple puppeting thing. Now the top arm is the correct way to do it, and you'll see there's an arc kind of manifests itself this way. Kind of like that, right? So you can see, like, that's the way the finger should kind of grace this. Like, the finger should graze this. Like that. So that's the arc of the hand. Now, what a lot of people do when they're animating, say you're animating, these are the two poses, a lot of beginners will just say, look at the two in-betweens. So the arm's just going to go straight. See the difference? And you see how it looks weird all of a sudden. Now that's an exact in-between according to this computer. Looks really wonky, right? So the arc of this, if you think of how arms move like that, and that's sort of the simplest way to explain it. And everything moves in arcs. Like when you turn your head, it's very rare that if you turn your head, unless you're in a neck brace or something, you would do that. There's always sort of a down and an up, or like depending on it, and your eyes always start it too. So you always want to kind of follow some sort of arc, and you have to think of it as like skeletal. Like my shoulder can only go this way, that way, and my elbow attaches to this bone and all that stuff. So everything has a certain arc to it. There's never just straight ahead like that. So that's the best way to kind of explain it simply. And the way I made it in this one is I just made this thing a symbol right here, this arm, and made the anchor point right here. Now you could take the same thing, move the anchor point, then it'll animate different. You know, then it won't follow the arc all of a sudden. So it's a whole different kind of thing. But if you think of the elbow as the stationary part that's not moving, you'll get that. Does that make sense? Oh, I see. Thank you. Hey, just found your work. I'm amazed. Oh, thanks. Thanks so much. I'm glad you enjoyed. Where did you see our work? I'm always curious how people find we're just such a small studio. No one seems to, our clients never seem to like it. I'm going to do the same thing with this arm right here. So I'm going to call this Cory. 3/4 arm and 2. The exact same principle. And like this is kind of another point of the arc here is like this is his elbow right here, this corner. Right here. And that's how I'm treating the same sort of arc structure there. Alright, so the bottom one, Gonna go down. So this one, his shoulder's technically up here, so we can bend it a little more. We're not going to use that as the fulcrum point. I better rough this out. So that's that one. Clean that up. And vice versa up here. I'm gonna start calling this the shuffle method, since we're shuffling kind of like a deck of cards. Let's start using the right terminology. I'm sure that's not even the right one, but you know, so every time I say stagger, we'll know it one way, and shuffle, I'll mean it this way. All right, it's gonna be a giant ease out as before. Real quick. This one's quick and dirty too. I hear you typing, Cody. What are you working on?
What do you think?
Not blood?
Not.
That on Netscape, pretty cool animation style. Oh, well thanks. Well, I hope we have success too. One day. Yeah, our Instagram, I don't know how anyone finds anything on Instagram. I don't know. I have no idea how people find us on there. I don't think people know either. Seeing our following is pretty scarce. Alright, now we just color. Thanks for the joining in, new people. Saving all the monies to splurge on blood. Well, well, you'll have plenty of time to save, and I don't think it's going to be that pricey either, so you don't have to save all your money on it. Plenty of time to save. Alright, so the same exact principle, we're going to start with the down one, so we're going to shoot it on 2s right now. Move the top frame over 1. Place it right in there. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna make it very expensive. It's
$100.
Just for the mere price of $100, you can get a 20-minute demo with a few bugs in it. Does this sound good? Double follower. Dude, I also just found you guys in the week. Saw your stuff on Twitter. This stuff is super inspiring. Love how fluid that feels. I want to steal all your. Oh, well, we give away all our secrets here. It's usually just animation principles, so there's not too much, we're not cloak and dagger here, but, well, thank you. I'm glad you appreciate all the stuff. And we like showing our process, so please join in every week. Ask any questions. If you just missed any of our, videos, we also post it on YouTube. So I think that, you know, it's another strike of serendipity, because I like how he kind of settles into it and then he builds up to this kind of angry pose right here. Which we're about done with today's switch. I'm gonna try to finish this before, we have a lot to do here though, so maybe we won't. Let's see, I think it's promotion time, so thank you all for joining the Bloodstream. We appreciate all the new followers and all that stuff. We really appreciate it. We do this for us and you guys, and I'm glad someone gets something out of it. We're bloodgame.com. That kind of gives you an inside track on anything new we're going to post before it hits Twitter and Instagram. Any festivals coming up, guys, other than MagFest, which is in the distant future? Not
Nothing
really.
right now.
Cody and I are in talks to maybe go to Spain for this little conference we're thinking about. That might be early October, but before we say yes to that, we have to figure out our schedule. And yeah, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all those places. We'll post a lot of blood stuff. So thanks for everyone joining us. We'll be back next Friday, and we'll talk to everyone pretty soon. Enjoy the weekend, guys.